The Florida marriage amendment made the ballot this year with nearly 650,000 signatures, but a 2006 amendment to the state constitution raised the bar. It requires 60% support for all future amendments to pass. That means supporters of marriage will have to work extra hard this year to get the votes they need. The Florida amendment reads, "Inasmuch as marriage is the legal union of only one man and one woman as husband and wife, no other legal union that is treated as marriage or the substantial equivalent thereof shall be valid or recognized." Rather than debating whether marriage should be protected from redefinition, gay activists have opted to run a campaign based on scare tactics. Carrie Earll with Focus on the Family Action says marriage remains the central issue.
Well, despite the scare tactics and the smoke screens put up by the opponents, the bottom line in Florida is that marriage in Florida deserves to be protected in the state constitution, and we're optimistic that voters will be able to see through the smoke screen and see the truth about how needed this amendment is.
Carrie, John talked a bit about this, but I'd like you to expand on it. The strategy of activists who want to redefine marriage has shifted from arguing, as they did early on, about fairness to this anything but marriage. We want to talk about benefits and all sorts of other things. What do you make of that?
Well, as he said, it's a strategy that was somewhat effective in Arizona. So it's the first time they've really had their hands on a string that they thought might derail this very successful state marriage amendment campaign that we've seen in the last 10 years. Of course, to talk about anything but the issue at hand is what you're going to do if you don't have the arguments to win. And again, clearly, if people can get back to the basic here, marriage is more than a word. It is a foundational concept. It is the future. It is family. It is generations. It is the infrastructure, if you will, of society. And to get to that higher vision is where we want our arguments to go. I think our tendency is when we get into a debate with someone on the other side and they bring up these little nitpicky things is we want to cross every T and dot every I in response, and that is not what's needed. Our people need to be casting the vision of what marriage is, why it's important, and why it needs to be in the state constitution. And when we do that, as we've done in 27 states successfully, I think we will win.
All right, very good. Again, you can send us your viewer questions at CitizenLink@family.org. Tom, we have a question over here. Thank you for making this podcast possible. This is from a mother of three. She's a wife, elementary teacher. Her name is Julie. She says, do you think there's a chance that John McCain will make a stand for pro-life issues, pro-family issues? Many evangelicals are voting for Obama, she writes, because McCain will not make pro-family stands. Do you think he'll be willing to stand firm on pro-family, pro-life, pro-religious liberties, and possibly meet with Dr. Dobson? If he doesn't, she writes, I think sadly he will most likely lose the election to Obama. What are your comments on that?
I'm not sure whether a meeting with between Dr. Dobson and Senator McCain will happen. Both are willing to do it, but I know for Dr. Dobson it's much more important what Senator McCain is willing to say in public than what he's willing to say in the privacy of a confidential meeting. And I think that Senator McCain is dug in on his issues. He's pro-life, but he is not consistent in that he does not oppose embryonic stem cell research, and that's an inconsistency for us. I don't think he's going to change because he does not want to open himself to the charge of flip-flopping. And we're all a little bit aggravated by the lack of his very aggressive stand for the things he says he believes, such as marriage. We all wish he would say much more about marriage. He's been rather tepid on that. So I think he is where he is, and he's going to have to make the case to a majority of the people.
And our comments about Florida were paid political advertising, sponsored by FloridaForMarriage.org, P.O. Box 521339, Longwood, Florida 32752. Paid for in kind by Focus on the Family Action, Colorado.